In the global race for high-speed rail development, India set its sights on an ambitious goal, creating its first bullet train corridor connecting Mumbai and Ahmedabad. What began as a prestigious international bidding process quickly became a complex saga of delays, soaring costs, and technological reconsiderations. Despite China's established high-speed rail expertise, India ultimately awarded the massive contract to Japan, a decision that would lead to unexpected consequences and years of setbacks. The Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail line was envisioned as a transformative project spanning 508.18 kilometers, with trains reaching speeds of 320 kilometers per hour. The line would reduce travel time between these major economic hubs from 7 to 8 hours to just 2 hours, featuring 12 stations along the route and 70 daily services. Prime Minister Modi's government imagined this corridor creating an economic boom similar to how Japan's Tokaido Shinkansen revolutionized the Tokyo-Osaka region. During the initial planning phase, India cast a wide net, inviting proposals from all major high-speed rail powers including France, Germany, Spain, Japan, and China. The requirements were stringent: advanced technology, reasonable costs, partial local manufacturing, and favorable financing terms. However, despite China offering mature technology at competitive prices, India made a political calculation to award the project elsewhere. This decision stemmed from several factors. First, the complex geopolitical relationship between India and China, marked by a 3,000-kilometer disputed border, created inherent skepticism among Indian political elites. Second, as two rising Asian powers, India harbored a psychological reluctance to be seen following China's development model. Finally, India had reservations about China's centralized approach to high-speed rail construction, which might prove difficult to implement within India's democratic framework. In December 2015, Japan secured the contract, primarily due to its attractive financing package and political alignment with India. Prime Minister Modi and then Japanese Prime Minister Abe jointly celebrated the agreement to bring Shinkansen technology to India. The National High-Speed Rail Corporation was established in 2017, and a groundbreaking ceremony heralded what many believed would be the swift arrival of bullet trains to Indian soil. Reality proved far more challenging. The project immediately encountered difficulties with land acquisition, a common obstacle in democratic India. Farmers in Gujarat and Maharashtra were reluctant to surrender ancestral lands, while some local governments subtly obstructed the central government's initiatives. One Indian engineer privately lamented that the greatest challenge wasn't technical expertise, but persuading people to relinquish their land, joking that, if we could build railways in the sky, we wouldn't have to argue with people on the ground. Financial issues soon followed. The initial budget of $12 billion quickly proved inadequate as land prices escalated, material costs increased, and construction delays mounted. The Japanese government was forced to extend additional loans, triggering domestic criticism. A Japanese commentator pointedly noted that in competing with China, Japan had taken on a project with no financial bottom. Progress virtually halted during the 2020 public health crisis. Workers returned to their villages, import of equipment and materials stalled, and Japanese engineers couldn't enter India to provide guidance. By 2022, a troubling statistic emerged. After 5 years, only about 10 kilometers of track had been completed, prompting international ridicule. One Indian internet user self-deprecatingly remarked, "At this rate, riding a bicycle would be faster than taking the high-speed train." By 2023, the project had reached only 44% completion. The original 2023 operational target had long been abandoned, with new timelines stretching to 2030 or even 2033. The prospect of a 16-year construction period for a single high-speed rail line could potentially set a world record for slowness. Just when the story couldn't seem more complicated, in March 2024, surprising news emerged. India was considering changing train models. Originally planning to use Japan's proven E5 Shinkansen trains, which have operated reliably on Japan's Tohoku and Hokkaido Shinkansen lines for years, India suddenly expressed interest in the E10 series Shinkansen, which Japan itself hasn't yet deployed. What makes the E10 so appealing? Reports suggest it features lighter materials, greater energy efficiency, and improved passenger comfort. However, the most critical factor appears to be its futuristic design, which aligns with India's desire to leapfrog the world. An analyst familiar with Indian decision-making explained, "Political image is extremely important in India. If they use older models, voters will say they're adopting discarded technology. But introducing the latest model allows the government to claim India is leading the trend." This potential change introduces new complications. The E10 series isn't scheduled for operation in Japan until 2030, so the technology remains unproven. Additionally, India insists on partial domestic manufacturing, but the scope and methodology of technology transfer remain unclear. Finally, changing models implies design modifications and potential cost increases, further burdening an already over-budget project. During his visit to Japan last year, Indian Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw reportedly expressed great enthusiasm for Japan's latest technology. Rumors suggest the National High-Speed Rail Corporation will soon make an informal decision about changing models and enter discussions with Hitachi and Kawasaki Heavy Industries. If confirmed, this switch would introduce new variables to the already complex project. This convoluted high-speed rail saga illustrates the tension between efficiency and democracy, between ambition and reality in infrastructure development. By comparison, China's high-speed rail construction efficiency is indeed impressive. Since launching its first high-speed line in 2008, China has built more than 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail network, covering most provinces and cities, supported by systematic planning, efficient execution, and comprehensive industrial chain support. India's high-speed rail dream isn't impossible, but it may require finding a development path that suits its unique national conditions, rather than pursuing the newest and best while neglecting construction efficiency. As one Indian commentator noted, "We don't lack dreams. We lack methods to turn dreams into reality." Beyond political considerations, technical standards also influenced India's decision to choose Japan over China. India still uses the broad gauge standard from British colonial times, which conflicts with China's 4-ton 35mm standard gauge. While selecting Japan's Shinkansen temporarily avoids this standard's conflict, this approach of remaining incompatible with world systems risks making India a technological island unable to connect with neighboring countries. Although India frequently speaks of creating manufacturing capabilities to rival China's, its manufacturing sector has actually declined as a percentage of GDP, falling from 15.4% in 2020 to 14.3% in 2024. This manufacturing weakness makes it impossible for domestic supply chains to support the 128 specialized industries required for high-speed rail, meaning that even if India demands local production of Japan's E10 series trains, its technology transfer ambitions remain difficult to realize. Ultimately, India's exclusion of Chinese high-speed rail technology stemmed from using political thinking to mask its manufacturing development anxieties. But these anxieties cannot be resolved without fundamental changes. While India and Japan continue deliberating over a high-speed rail project conceived more than a decade ago, China's CRRC Changchun has already advanced train speeds from 350 km per hour to 400 km per hour with its CR 450 train sets. This 50 km per hour improvement represents not just a numerical increase, but a multidimensional technological leap, highlighting the gap between Chinese and Indian technological capabilities, or perhaps more accurately, a gap in vision and approach.